7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday, the beginning of the Memorial Day weekend. Thank you for tuning in to Coffee Talk with Karen and Anthony. Anthony, are you with me?
Yes, I am. Good morning. Happy Friday.
Good morning. Happy Friday. I am a little confused though. I think Mother Nature, I don't know, skipped her meds, needs a good, night. I'm not sure what, but, is it winter outside?
It might be. It just might be. But Memorial Day is always notoriously funny. You never know what you're going to get.
That's everything in life, no?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's a profound statement. But yeah,
Yep.
I mean, I'm sitting here, I have like a sweatshirt on and my comfy like pajama bottom pants that are like the flannelly kind of like thick ones. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now?
I love it. I love this weather. So
I
I'm
don't,
not going to complain.
I would be fine with it if like my plans weren't to be like on the beach or whatever. You know what I mean? So, this is, I like it like this when I'm sleeping, but that's it. Like during the day, I'd like to not be wearing, my sweatshirt in the end of May, but that's just me. So this is our second show together. For anybody that is jumping on the live, please say hello. Please interact with us on, we can read your comments and address what you say. The last show we did was like our first one and it really was awesome. So we had to do it again. And one of the things that Anthony kept talking about is, don't you just want to be happy? Don't people just want to be happy? So I said, what a great topic for our next show. So Anthony,
Yes.
please elaborate on, you were very, passionate and about this topic. So please share with us your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I mean, you tend to see, whether it's over social media, whether it's in person, your friends, your family, associates, people that you run into, that there seems to be this wave of wanting to be a victim, wanting to obsess about the past, wanting to focus in on everything negative in life. And I don't know if it's something that people want to do, if they're stuck, don't know how to get out of not doing. But it makes you wonder, like, don't you just want to be happy in life? It's such a short life that we live. We're only here for a short amount of time and we don't know when our number is going to be called. So why not spend that time being happy, looking forward, growing, becoming the best you that you could be? Not wanting to look in the past or obsess about it or, play the victim role or the woe is me. And I just find that lately that there seems to be way too much of it.
So let's break that down a little bit. First off, do you think people are self-aware enough to know that this is the way they are living their lives?
I believe are. There are some, I think, that are just in a rut in life. They maybe have some stuff going on that they don't know how to navigate through. That's definitely can happen, but I kind of feel like some almost self-inflicted. And the reason I say that is because since social media, I find that people look for attention, beg for attention, need attention in every which way, shape, or form. So I do believe that they kind of realize what they're doing, and I think they focus more on the attention aspect of it. Because look, if I haven't talked to you in a while, if I talk to you and say, hey, Karen, how's everything going? Oh, everything's great. Life is great. Everything's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, done. There's no attention in that. There's no, it's about all you do with that, right? But if, oh, it's this and it's that and it's that and it's this, oh my God, what happened? And you don't deserve that. And you're so much better. And there's that whole aspect to it.
Yeah.
And my generation, which grew up tough. I mean, we were not spoiled like today's kids are entitled or never told no. I mean, we were spanked. We were punished. We
Not
didn't get
given an award.
right. We didn't get participation trophies, but yet somehow we crumbled. We are the generation who turned these young kids into what they are today. And it seems that we are very, I don't know, I look across and just wanting to play that victim mentality. And, I'm kind of confused on where did this turn? What went wrong? But again, it goes back to, don't you want to be happy?
Yeah. Well, and again, the reason why it's such a great, show topic is because that you can go into 20 different versions of that, right? Because I mean, in the end, I think we do all want to be happy. I think that the challenge is, how. So I think that, I know when I listen to podcasts or I listen to, whatever, reels, this, that, and the other, I'm always trying to gain, a perspective or knowledge, from something that I'm listening to. And, I always try to, when I discuss things on this show, I always try to kind of find, okay, well, hey, you're not alone. Like, yeah, I feel the same way, this one feels the same way. And then maybe a different perspective of how to look at it. So I think that you said something our last show, which is very true. Most of us learn what we don't want. But we don't always know what we do. And I think that is a challenge in finding happiness as well, because what does that look like? How do you get there?
Well, I think first and foremost, I think it starts with mindset. And I think if you're in the northern New Jersey, Essex, Bergen, Passaic County area, we really live off a negative mindset. There is I mean, that is just what it is up here. It is a negative mindset. And, it's the first reaction. The first reaction is to be negative, waiting for the other shoe to drop. Oh, but I've been through this before, so it's probably going to happen again.
Okay.
Type of, mindset where, you have to be honest with yourself as far as, what it is that you want. Right. So, and then it's a matter of going out and find it. Right. But okay, that's a hard thing to do. Well, it's really not. If your intentions are pure and you're honest with yourself and what you like, you have to live in the moment. And that's the thing, right? So we can't live in the past. Let's take dating, right? Because that's the biggest subject that you could probably attach to this.
Okay.
And life too, let's just say. But, with this negative mindset, it always seems to go to, oh, well, I've had this happen to me before.
Yep.
The guys that I've met or the girls that I met are this way.
Yep.
So it's just going to be this way again. Well, first of all, again, negative mindset, living in the past. Stay present. Live in the future. I mean, live in the present, right? And look towards the future. So, yes, all of us have had bad stuff done to us, but you got to take it. You take your moment or two to dust off and you have to put it away. You have to stay in the moment, because what I try to tell people is, yes, we all have bad things that have happened to us and we've all had unhappy moments. But as long as you're still breathing, you have life ahead of you, right? Think of your life as a book, and you still have chapters that are not written yet. And you could write those chapters any way you want, but it is up to you to do that. And you can't do that if you're living in the past, obsessing about the past, worrying about what everyone else is doing, what they have and you don't. right? So you have to start with your mindset, and you have to wake up every day, be grateful, be happy. You're alive. Yes, all of us have health issues, or we might have money issues, or we all have stuff that we could look to and say life is not easy.
Mm-hmm.
But that can't be what drives you. We all have challenges in life, but it's got to start out with the mindset. You wake up, hey, you know what? I'm thankful for today.
Mm-hmm.
What could I do today to maximize my day? What could I do today to be productive? What could I do today to make a difference? What can I do today to be the best me? These are the goals that I want to set out for today, and then let me go find that. That's living in the moment. That's not worried about what I did yesterday. This is worried about what I did today, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it starts out with that mindset, and then you just need to apply it to everything in life. And the biggest thing that I see, again, is dating. Well, okay, if you're going to date, then you got to go in with a clear mindset. You got to go in with giving everybody a clean slate and giving everyone a chance. And like we were talking about last show, is not look for things to be wronged or to disqualify people,
Right.
but to give people a chance.
Right.
Are you going to stumble? Yes. Are you going to run across jerks? Yes. Might you get used or ghosted or whatever? Yes. That's that's life, but we can't be hung up on that. So, I think it starts out with mindset. It starts out with with you letting go of what's happened, looking towards the future, because words are powerful. How you speak to yourself, how you speak to others matters in life.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're constantly walking around and say, oh, life is tough, there's nobody out there, my ex is this, or you don't understand that, well, you're never going to have happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Because all you're portraying is negativity, even how you speak to yourself. So you have to be positive about life. You have to be positive about what you're speaking about, who you're speaking to, what you want to do in life. And then surround yourself with people who are in that growth mindset, who are positive, because who you hang around with is going to determine, or who you spend time with is also going to determine where you're going to be as well. I always like to try to put myself, and I never used to do this up until I had a person to show me this way, but now I like to surround myself with people that are doing better than me in life, people that are more successful, that are smarter than me, people that I can learn from, that I can grow with, that I can aspire to be like, instead of just being in that same negative circle of everything is wrong. Because then you get in a rut and you never leave it, if that
Yeah.
makes any sense.
Well, yeah, and those are all amazing things, So you said a couple of things. One of the first things that you had said was, if you've been through X, Y, and Z, you got to put it away and move forward. I think that is one issue that, a lot of people, even myself, is challenging, because where do you put it? So if somebody, like, that can be taken two ways, right? I understand what you meant when you said put it away, because it means, that already happened, and move forward. But unfortunately, what happens, and the reason why anxiety, exists, is because people put it away, or they pack it down, and they never really deal with it. And then it comes back to haunt them. So, I'm always like, I follow all of the things that you just spoke about, and the positive mindset and the gratitude and all of that. And I believe that wholeheartedly. But it's also, I've tried to live in all the different ways, right? And you put yourself, and think, it's almost, sometimes I feel like when I was doing that, I was delusional. Because, like, I'm thinking, let's use a person, for instance. And I'm like, yeah, no, I understand that that's the way this person is right now, but I get it. It's going to change. I know that I'm important. I don't need, all of the validation and this, that, and the other. But you know what? I was wrong. And I put that mindset out there, but that was not what was being returned to me. So I think there's like, that balance, if you will, right? Where you try to live that mindset, right? And you try to, be positive, and you try to see things the way you want them to be and manifest these people into your life. But it's challenging when it doesn't happen.
Well, see, okay, I don't mean to cut you off,
No.
but I think the fault in what I'm seeing is that you're relying on other people for your happiness. You're relying on other people for validation. It's got to start with you. You got to love yourself. You cannot rely on other people to make you happy. You have to make yourself happy. And I think that's part of the problem here is people, what do you need validation for? If you have to look in the mirror and like the person that's in front of you. Now, if you don't, and there's deeper issues and there's serious issues, well, then listen, you reach out, you get help, you talk to someone, nothing wrong with that. But if we're talking more surface stuff, if it's dating, if it's stuff like that, you have to start with loving yourself. And you cannot rely on other people for your happiness. To say, well, I'm doing this, they're not returning it. I'm being this way, they're not giving it back to me. So now you're unhappy. That's the mistake. You can't rely on other people because, you create your happiness. It has to start with self-love. You have to love yourself. You have to put yourself first. But if you want to go through life looking for validation for people or looking to find someone that's going to make you happy, no, it's never going to. And you're going to constantly be in this negative rut. That's the problem. And especially with social media. I mean, what is it that you are looking for? So you want to put a picture up, you want to put a post up, you want people to tell you you're wonderful. For what? What is that actually doing for you?
Yeah.
You got to tell yourself you're wonderful. Yeah. You got to think you're wonderful.
Yeah. And, it's interesting because I'm listening to what you're saying and like, I certainly I've never gotten validation from people because I've always been the odd one, if air quotes. Like I've never been normal. I mean, you've seen me out. I don't look like everyone else. I don't,
See, I'm going to stop you. See what you're doing right there? I'm not normal. I don't look like everyone else. That's all negative.
No,
you are normal. You are normal. I am normal. I am me. I don't need to be like everyone else. See, it starts with how you talk to yourself.
Yeah, you're right.
So right away, like the way you described yourself was completely negative. Like you're just, almost like you're ashamed of yourself. Like, well, I'm negative. I'm different. I'm this. No, you are normal. You are normal. Hey, if you have a different style of dress, you have a different style of talk, that's fine. But you are definitely normal. You're you. You're one of one. And you got to be happy with that. Because honestly, do you want to be like everyone else? Do you want to be the masses? Because, running with the crowd and being grouped in, it's, you're never going to be successful. You're never going to get to where you want to get to. And success, by everything, by money, by happiness, by love, it has to start with you. So you have to change how you talk to yourself and about yourself.
That's really interesting. And thank you, for catching that because I'm, as life goes, right, and we go through different trials and tribulations, they definitely change you and they change your perspective on things. And I think when you're young, like when I was younger, I was probably more, I've always been a lot and but I was really like, there and I didn't give a shit what anybody really thought. But then again, when I was behind closed doors, I kind of did, right? Because it was like, I'm me and a lot of people don't want to accept me for who and what I am. And yeah, at the end of the day, sometimes it does make you feel kind of like, an outcast or whatever. But at the same token, like as we get older, we have to like be more, confident and more set in our feet, if you will. And I think that for myself in particular, especially becoming a mom later in life, I changed so much because I was as a parent, and you know this because you're a parent, we have to become a different role. Like, as a woman, I don't know if men go through this, but as a woman, you grow up and you're somebody's daughter, and you're usually kind of, the daughters always take care of the household, if you will. And then we get, if it goes the way it's supposed to, or whatever, not even supposed to, but the way plans go, you meet a man, you get married, you have a child or whatever. I didn't have my kid until I was 38 years old.
Right.
And now I went from being all about me to being all about, somebody's wife, and now somebody's mom. And even when you're pregnant, you're a vessel for this other human. Like, no one gives a shit. They only care about you because you're carrying that child. When you talk about attention and validation and all of that, when you're pregnant, everybody is like tripping over themselves. Like, oh, sit down. Oh, are you hungry? Oh, put your feet up. Oh, do you need something? And then meanwhile, once the kid is born, you can't see straight because you haven't slept in like 48 hours. You got like puke in your hair, and all you want to do is sit down for a minute, and no one's there because it's not about you. It's about the kid.
Well, and that goes back to you loving yourself first and foremost, because if you don't love yourself, nobody else is going to. And you think about this, all right? And you should never look for validation for anyone, or never look to anyone to make you happy.
Right.
But even if you want to be the person who wants to be liked, or wants to be whatever the case is, you meet two people, okay? One of them is negative and woe is me, and I've been through this and no one cares, and I'm this and I'm that. You don't really want to be around that person too much, right? You're not really putting that much effort into it. Oh, okay, I get it. But then you meet the second person, and they're confident, they're humble, they're happy. There's a warmth about them. They seem like a great person. You're gravitated towards that. You want to talk to that person. You want to be around that person. You like this person because they make you feel a certain way too.
Right.
They're intelligent, or maybe they're witty, but they exude warmth and love and kindness and humility. And that's, hey, you know what? I met this person. That's a really great person. We've all done it. Oh, they're so nice. There's always those people you can't say anything bad about them. They're so nice. Well, you need to, it starts with you. So how you want to be perceived by others is going to start with you as well. What are you putting out? What energy are you putting out to people? Because if you're going to put out negative, woe is me, I'm the victim energy, well, you're not going to get love back. You're not going to get, you might get pity or false pity, but is that really what you want in life, for people to feel bad for you? And honestly, you know what? It seems most people, I think if you got them in private rooms today, would say yes, because it comes with a form of attention. That has to stop. You're the one that has to do it for yourself.
Yeah.
What you put out and how you speak is what you're going to get back. I remember, I went through a very tough childhood, abusive. It was not fun.
I'm sorry.
And I was in a bad place for a long time. And I remember going through help. And I remember the person I was talking to at the time said, you're attracting shit because you're portraying yourself as shit. Those were her exact words.
Yeah.
And it stuck with me because, I'm attracting what my mindset is.
Yeah.
I'm attracting what I'm putting out. And only till I got to a place where I was loving myself and I was happy did I start to attract the better people. Look, there are going to be some things in life we're not going to be able to just put aside. I get it, but there's help for that. But so many things in life you can. And you don't need to figure out why and what's the answer and let it define you and let it become, what defines your life. Because again, you have unwritten pages in life, right? It's a book and there's chapters that are not written. You could write it any way you want. So that is up to you, but it has to start with you. It has to start with you. But the biggest thing is you got to stop looking for other people to make you happy, because that's never going to happen. Because if you don't make yourself happy, if you don't love yourself, nobody's going to love you. You got to start with you. When you love yourself and you're a person that's solid, then you will attract the type of people that will love you for you. But if you're not going to love yourself and you're not going to be happy with yourself, how do you expect somebody else to? You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I mean, words of wisdom there. Thank you guys for tuning in to Coffee Talk with Karen and Anthony. We are live on Podbean. If you are listening, please, feel free to type in a comment. Let us know you're here. Hit that follow button, and you can also listen to this on the replay on any of your favorite podcast platforms. And today we are talking about, don't you just want to be happy? And trying to navigate this unhappy world and move forward from there. But I would say that it's absolutely correct, and it's really difficult because, like I said before, a lot of people don't even know what happy looks like. And the other thing is that, like, I have been following a couple of different people, and they talk about the subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind is happier when it's in, like, conflict. Like, your subconscious mind will always go to the negative. And you have to actually train yourself not to, like, to catch you doing it. And and it also has a lot to do with the way you're raised, right? So, like, my mother was a very, dramatic person, and everything was always, like, large. So if she broke a nail or someone died, it was the same reaction. And I remember when I was in therapy, and my therapist was like, Karen, like, I was just beside myself because, like, the cable guy didn't come or something. And she's like, it's a cable guy. Like, he'll come tomorrow. Like, what's the problem? This is not, somebody didn't die. And I'm like, oh my God, she's right. Like, that didn't warrant that reaction. But when you're raised a certain way, you're programmed a certain way, it's your default.
Yeah, but that's a built-in excuse. You can't do that. I mean, I was raised by, my father was abusive to me. My father was not a good father in many ways. I am the complete opposite with my son.
Mm-hmm.
I could turn around and say, well, I was raised this way. No, you make your own choices in life. You have a choice to make.
Absolutely.
And you could you could use the built-in excuses, because what you're telling me is that, well, I don't know what happiness looks like. Well, why is it that you know what pain and miserable and unhappiness? You know what that looks like very well, because everything you seem to tell me supports that mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, but I know what pain is. I know what this, and it's going to be this, and you're giving me excuses on why you should be that way instead of doing the opposite. Instead of not saying, well, I don't know what happy looks like. Well, you sit down, you have a conversation with yourself, you're honest. What is it that you want in life? And first of all, you have to be okay with being alone. And that's the biggest thing too. It's another thing that people need to, you have to be okay with being alone, with being with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, it goes, and once you're doing that, you're like, I'm okay with me. You don't need anyone else. You could want someone else,
right?
But you don't need. So need has to come out of your vocabulary,
right?
And then also, what you have to do again is surrounding yourself in places and people that are bringing positivity. Let's take Facebook. You scroll up and down Facebook. If somebody just says, I'm gonna do a project today, and I'm gonna go up and down my Facebook for a half hour, I will guarantee you 90% of it will be negative. Posts about the ex, posts about narcissism, posts about being toxic, posts about, letting this go, posts about being broken, posts about anxiety. Like, non-stop talking about negative and anxiety and this and that and posting it and reading it. And oh my God, you're right. Because if you put up a post happy in love, you don't get much. But if you put up a post about, oh, I've been hurt, my ex is a narcissist, everyone and their mother will join in. And yes, you're right. And this, and it's that constant, that's all you're feeding yourself.
Yep.
Day in and day out. What do you expect is going to happen in life? That needs to just stop. You got to stop with that. You got to stop with the posting and the talking and the constant, my ex this, and you don't know. Okay, yes, get it. When it happens, you take your moment, you dust yourself off, but every day has to be a fight to be loving, to be positive, to do things that are going to benefit you. As far as maybe helping others or doing things that are going to lead to good places in your life. It's just too easy to sit on your couch and just be woe is me. And that's, if you really look, that's what you find a lot in this society today. You really just look around and everyone, it's almost like they want to be broken. They want to be offended. They want to have anxiety. They want to be a victim. I don't understand that. Why? Why? Because it's not bringing you happiness. You're not portraying happiness. And I can tell you right now, your friends and family are probably sick of hearing it.
Well, the thing that I would say to that, and everything you're saying, I agree with, but like, for instance, the example that I gave you with, like my mom, that wasn't an excuse. It was something I wasn't aware of. Meaning, okay, so I'm not comparing, but obviously, like, we know right from wrong, right? We know that, if someone is hitting us or harming us, that's wrong, right? Although when you're raised in that type of an environment, you adapt, because that's just what we do as humans, is we adapt. So when my therapist pointed out to me that it wasn't the end of the world, I thought about it differently.
Did you change from there? Did you make the change?
I absolutely did, because I realized it wasn't that bad. And then what happened was, after, for me personally, with all of the stuff that I've been through, but, losing my husband was definitely the hardest thing I've had to live through.
Sure, that's a real tragedy.
And still is. And so, when your central nervous system goes back to that dark place. So what I have learned over the past 10 years is, wait a minute, this ain't that bad. So don't go there. Like, this isn't the end of the world here. Like, okay, this happened and it sucks and it hurts, but you know what? It's not that bad. You've been through worse.
Yes.
So
yes.
like, so stop. But my point is that it's, when I said to you, do you think people are self-aware? You said you think they are. I am 50-50 on that. I don't know. And I don't know that it's because they're oblivious or because you just don't realize it when you're in it. You know what I mean? So like, for instance, I made myself self-aware when I said, listen, why are you reacting this way? Like, this is not that bad. And then I said to myself, you're just used to being in that place because your pain was so great that you want to go back there because it's comfortable, because that's where you've been living.
But why would pain ever be comfortable?
You know what? Because you're right. It shouldn't be. But when you go through certain things, and I guess depending on your personality or whatever tools you may or may not have, what I'm saying is, when you can't not feel that depth, like, at least for myself, I can only speak personally with what I went through, and I would go there and I'm like, no, this is not that. So you need to stop and you need to get yourself on a level playing field right now. And I think that what I mean is that so many people, like you're talking about a victim mentality and all of those things, I think that people don't realize it. And the minute they have, like you just said, the negative reinforcement, right? The negative validation, the minute people feel that way, that they're going to get attention. And so it takes a lot to rise above that and say, I don't need that negative attention. I
Yeah,
want,
I don't think it takes a lot. And I think people telling themselves that, again, you're pushing yourself down. So what is it you're doing every day? Right? So if you're waking up and the majority of your day is learning, growing, being positive, maybe going to a gym, working out, doing things that are positive, right?
yep,
You're in this mode that if something happens, you're already way up positive. So you're able to kind of deal with things better, because everything's going to come up in life, and not everything is easy, especially a death or something like that. And
right,
I'm not saying you can't feel hurt or whatever, but if you're waking up in the majority of your days in this negative headspace, then yes, everything's going to be the end of the world, because that's where you're living.
right,
So you have to, if you, like you say, get yourself to a level playing field, or don't get behind the eight ball. Well, that has to start with you. And what are you doing with your day? And what are you doing with yourself? And how are you speaking? How are you speaking about yourself? Who are you speaking to? Avoiding this Facebook garbage and,
yeah,
all this other crap in your life look, at the end of the day, it's not going to put food on the table. It's not going to raise your kids. It's not going to set up your retirement plan. It's not going to make you healthy. You know what I mean? It's not going to
yeah.
make your blood work great. It's going to do nothing but bring you garbage. So you got to start out the day by being in the right frame of mind to begin with,
Right.
and realizing, and maybe you have to have tricks or tools, so. And if you are a person that says, well, I would love to do this, but I don't know how to go about it. Okay, fine. Then you know what? Read about it. Watch YouTube videos. Listen
Yeah.
to people like a Wade Dyer or
Yeah.
a David Goggins, or someone that tells you how to, put your mind in a certain spot, and then realize, like you said, you know what? I didn't die from this. I'm still alive.
Yep.
I'm still breathing. Or sometimes, you know what I do? What I'm upset about this. There's people right now who are living on the street. There's people right now
Yep.
who don't have any food. Like, there's people have it way worse than me.
Yeah.
And I'm worried about what? That a date didn't go well, or something silly, trivial. I mean, the
Yeah.
big stuff, yes, you do have to find a way to navigate. But again, I think it starts out with you. And what are you doing each and every day to put yourself in that good headspace, so when crappy things in life happen, you are able to deal with it? And if you're not a person that could just, flip the switch and do
Hmm.
it, then teach yourself how to do it.
Right.
Instead of spending time, worrying about posting selfies or worried
Hmm.
about what everyone else is doing, go listen, go read, go make your, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
on these things, and how to be better in life, because that's going to be beneficial.
Yeah.
The social media crap and worried about the drama and in this place and that place and what this girl or guy is doing, all that stuff is going to do nothing for your life.
Yeah. And, but, it is funny, right? Because, you look at all the things that you're speaking of, and how you really have to program yourself to, be that way, because society is going to pull you in the other direction for sure. Like I was saying before, your subconscious is always going to pull you back to where you're comfortable. And what is interesting is that, like you said, like if somebody puts a post up, like for instance, let's talk about gossip. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you're out and they're like, oh my God, did you hear, that, so and so's, husband cheated on her with her best friend? And it's like everybody is all up in that conversation.
Oh
Like,
yeah, I just did that on purpose with the recent with the fireman from Belleville. I actually did it on purpose. I said to a friend, "Watch this. There's over hundreds of comments. Yeah. But
Well,
if
I
you were to
don't.
put something positive or loving, you probably would get two
Well,
or three
but
people.
that's what I'm saying. Like, so, like, for instance, if you're in an area where there's a lot of people, right, or there's like these cliques of people, everybody in like people want to, I guess, be liked and brought into it. So if you're like I always say this on the show, I'm like, I don't want to know. Like, don't tell me. I don't want to know. I don't want to know who's fucking who. I don't want to know, because now I'm going to be pulled in. I don't care. That's not my business. Let them do what they want to do. But the thing is that when people start to yip yap and talk about other people and the gossip and the this and the that, people get pulled in because they're nosy.
Right, but successful people don't. So when I met this person that I'm talking about,
Uh-huh.
okay, and I was guilty of doing certain things, you know, showed me a different way. People that are successful in life, and I don't mean just money, but
Mm-hmm.
people that are successful in life, they're not watching TV, the news. They're not care about gossip. They're not worried about celebrities. They're not on social media. They're not wasting their time doing that, because each moment of their day is focused to either making money, growing a business, being happy, raising a family, things that are important in life.
Yeah.
And these people that are doing that, and if you look at all of them, they are nowhere in life. What are they doing with their life?
Mm-hmm.
They're not happy. They're not successful. They don't have anything. So
Mm-hmm.
this is what they gravitate towards. So look, if you want to be that person, if you want to be a person that's going to, their life is going to revolve around gossip or Facebook, and you want to be that unhappy, miserable, I want to be part of the crowd, I guess you could do that, but you're never going to have happiness. You're never going to have success. You know, I was shown that we all aspire to be that top 1%, right? Everybody wants to have financial freedom. Everybody would love to be successful, or maybe own a business, or live comfortably, or don't have to stress, right? We all would love that, right? It's why people play the lottery, or people go to college, or, people try to aspire to be that person,
Right.
the owner of the company, the CEO, the person, the
Yep.
billionaire, whatever it is.
Yep.
But those people don't do this crap. They don't talk about celebrities or gossips or,
Yep.
a crap and posting my ex is a narcissist. They don't do this. They're so focused. And I was starting to be around these people and was like, holy shit, like these people they live on a completely different plane.
Mm-hmm.
They can care less because they're laser focused.
Yes.
And again, it starts with you. When you wake up in the morning, what do you want to do with your day? Do you want to be productive and be happy, be loving, be there for your family, maybe help another? Or do you want to be negative and be a victim and waste your time on social media? You have that choice. You have that choice. So at the end of the day, if you're going to say, oh, it's life is this and that, well, you're choosing to be that way, because you also have a choice to be happy. Now, if you have a chemical imbalance, if there's something that, because there are some people in life that just can't help it, well, then that's when, maybe you have to seek help, or friends and family need to help you. There are some people who chemically can't get happy, but I'm not speaking about those. I'm speaking about the majority of the masses.
Right. No, and again, we're certainly not, doctors, and we're just discussing, what our own personal experiences have been, and just a different way, like I said, a different perspective. This is the way that you see things, and a lot of times people don't realize, and it's true. I mean, when I had lost my husband, I mean, literally just getting up in the morning, I was proud of myself.
Right. Right.
Getting my kid to school clean and on time, it was like, a big pat on the back. And I think that what happens is a lot of times we are not, we don't give ourselves enough credit for things, and it's always never enough, right? So if you think about, like, I could do 20 things in a day, and my son will say, oh, well, what'd you do today? And I'm like, well, not really much. And he's like, well, tell me about your day. And then I'll start going. And then you realize, like, you did like 20 things, right? But this is normal, right? And this is what is expected. And we don't give ourselves enough credit for doing those things.
Right. Starts with self-love. Like I'm saying. Yeah. You
And,
have to
and,
have that
and,
self-love.
and grace. That's the other thing. And I mean, like I tell so many people this, that you have to give yourself grace because
Sure.
we're so hard on ourselves, right? And then we wonder why people are hard on us, but we're so hard on ourselves. And, I find in my life, and I'm sure you could probably agree, I see it happen with my son. I see it happen. We get these lessons come back at us, like where I was not giving myself grace when I was going through certain things. And then I see somebody going through what I went through. And what do I tell them? Give yourself grace. Forgive yourself, right? Because now it's in front of me. So I see it and I recognize that this was what I was doing, to myself. I mean, unfortunately, one of my best friends, what met me right after I had lost my husband. I think it's 2 years now, maybe 3 years. I don't even know. She lost her husband unexpectedly as well. And so now I'm telling her, like, listen, you got to give yourself grace. You got through it. My mother passed away a year ago and my father, Daddy, you got to give yourself grace. Like, he's like, I didn't go to the gym. I didn't do this. I go, look, you're grieving. Like, you have to give yourself grace. And I always say you can visit, but you can't stay.
Sure.
That's what I say to
Yes.
myself. You can
Yes.
visit, but you can't
Yes.
stay. And
Absolutely.
that's how I check myself. So for anybody that's listening right now and you feel it and you're going, because that rabbit hole will suck you down good, but you can't stay. So, you give yourself that grace. You have your day, you have your 2 days, you have your couple of days where you want to feel sorry for yourself or you want to be in your feelings and you want to feel it good. Feel it, but you can't stay. You gotta evolve from that point forward. And like you were saying, it's really nice if you have a support system that kind of says to you, like, okay, so are you going to the gym today? So that it's that little push of like, okay, like we've licked our wounds now, come on, let's go. And
So one of the things that is going to help with that is grace, but also forgiveness. Forgiveness is a powerful tool. Okay. And I had to learn this the hard way because, again, I'm going to go to my childhood, how I was raised, being in an abusive situation and mentally abusive, not physically abusive, which to me I think is worse. But
yeah,
you hold on to anger, right? You don't forgive. You're mad. You're angry.
yes,
You're mad at the ex who left you. You're mad at this.
yes,
And everything spirals.
mm-hmm.
You got to give yourself grace, but you also have to forgive.
Yes, you're right.
Now, okay, how do you do that? Well, you have to find ways to do that. Once you have to forgive other people. And I know that's hard, right? How do I forgive the person who hurt me?
Right.
Because you have to let it go. So you have to show other people grace as well.
Right.
The minute when I looked at my father and I said, you know what? I forgive.
Yeah.
You don't forget,
No.
but you forgive. And the weight that's lifted off your chest, right?
Right.
So the husband that left, the wife that left, the husband that might have cheated, whatever the case is, like you can't hold this for the rest of your life in this anger because it's only going to destroy you. You got to get to the point, and I'm not saying forgive where you're going to become someone's best friend, but just say, you know what? I forgive it. I'm going to give it grace and I'm going to let it go because then that's how you move on. That's how you create happiness.
Also,
so that has to be done.
Also,
and
not to interrupt you, but the other word I would use is acceptance.
You could, yeah, acceptance, yeah. I mean, and any of these words you could. But if you're going to have that, well, F that mentality, I'm not going to, they cheated on me and I'm never going to, okay, well then fine, do that. then you're going to be a miserable person the rest of your life. You're going to live in anger. And you're the only one that's going to be hurt by this. You're going to hurt yourself. That you want to do that, great, but you're not going to accomplish anything. You got to learn to forgive, accept, move on, show grace, because we expect that when we make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
And I'm not saying you allow it. So let's not get it confused when I say forgive.
Right.
I'm not saying that you're going to say it's okay.
Right.
But you forgive it to where you don't hold it.
Right.
And not by doing that and learning how to do that. And again, if you can't, you read it, you research it. That is also going to help you leaps and bounds to learn how to be happy and have self-love.
Yeah, and that is definitely a very, challenging thing to do is, acceptance, forgiveness, because, I know for me, there are a lot of so think about like things that are just unacceptable. And I remember, one of my, best friends is a healer, and she said, like, you have to, forgive your husband. Like, you have to, accept it. And I'm like, how do I do that? Like, I mean, not like, I don't forgive him for dying, but, accept it. And I'm like, but I don't want to accept it. Like, I still don't want to accept it. But the truth of the matter is that you got to accept it because this is the reality. But making that disconnect, if you will, of releasing that is a really challenging thing, because accepting something you don't want to accept, which is just the same way as even a bad relationship or, a bad childhood. Like, you have to accept that, let's just say for argument's sake in a relationship, that your wife or your husband cheated on you, just as an example, right? You have to accept that because it happened. But you don't want to accept it because it's unacceptable. So this is where it becomes challenging for people to do those things, because you're fighting the fight. But and like you just said, it's, you don't forget, right? You have to forgive to let it go so that it's healthy. But it's a hard place to be, because it's like there's one part of you that is like, no, I'm not accepting this shit. But then on the other side, you kind of have to in order to be free of it.
Look, and I want to say this too for anyone who's listening. When we say accept, I'm not saying accept where if somebody cheats on you, you accept it and stay with them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or say it's okay. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
Accept it happened. You absolutely should walk away, whatever the case is. But I have so many female friends that do this. They had a husband or someone who cheated on them, and that's it. He cheated. He did this. They don't trust anybody. They live in this negative headspace. They're just miserable. That's just where, everything in life revolves around that. I don't want to meet anyone. And if they do meet a guy, the guy's guilty until proven innocent. And I say to them, it takes just as much effort to hate and to be angry as it does to let go and be happy. So you have a choice to make. One's not harder than the other. It's what do you want to do with it? And this anger you're holding on to, what is it doing for you? Are you happy when you wake up in the morning? Is this the way you want to live? And, you can't say, oh, well, it's not they did this to me. Okay, well, you have power over you. You have power on how you react to things. You have power. No one else has that power but you on how you're going to react and deal with things. I'm not saying, like we said, when it first happens, of course it's going to hurt. And you take your moment, you brush yourself off, you sit down, you take a deep breath. But then moving forward, what is it that you want for yourself?
Yeah.
And if you want to be that person that's going to hate and never trust, and then, start with the 50,000 posts on Facebook and everybody you talk to, once a cheater, always a cheater, and this one cheats and stuff. Listen, that is your choice, but then realize there is never going to be a day of happiness for you. You're not going to find love. You're not going to find true happiness in life. And that is not what the person did to you. That's your choice that you're doing to yourself at this point. And I know people are not going to want to hear that and might hear that line and curse me, and that's fine. You could do that if you like, but it doesn't make what I'm saying wrong, because I've done this to myself. I've chose in times when I was younger, I chose to do this to myself until I realized it doesn't take much to let go. It doesn't take much. It's just like you said, you know what? This happened. It's shitty, but what am I going to do? It happened. I got to move forward. And the release that you get from that, the weight off your shoulder, the weight off your chest, you feel like you breathe again. And you realize, you know what? These things are not that bad. So you lost your husband, right? One of the hardest things to do, lose a spouse, right? God forbid, lose a child.
Yes.
You got through that. You're here. You're breathing. I see you. You're happy. You know, you're a happy person. You have a good time. You got through that. There's nothing on earth that should even bother you. A relationship's going to bother you. A man's going to bother you. A friend may be doing you wrong. That's child's play to what you just went through. You know what I'm saying? Like at this point, you're armed with, there's nothing that's going to get to me now. I've been through that and I lived through it and I'm happy. I'm not going to let somebody else take my peace or because a relationship didn't work out. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
You know what
no,
I'm saying?
you're right. And
It's perspective. It's mindset.
I was just about to say that. And it's all perspective. And, you know, so I'm the person, like, you know, I spend a lot of time alone. And, you know, sometimes it's, I mean, I don't have a problem with it. And even when I am places, sometimes I'm fine being alone too. Like you know, I don't like being around company. Like, for instance, what you were just saying, like what we've been talking about all morning, right? Is like, I don't want to hang out with people that are like disingenuous. So I'd rather be by myself. Like I'll go dance in the corner by myself. I got no problem with that. Like, you know, I don't need nobody dance. I'm good. So, you know, but then you feel like an outcast sometimes because, you know, like, why is she standing there by herself? Like, why is she dancing by herself?
No, see, you're not the outcast. You know what you are? You're the better person. You're the person that has self-love for yourself. You're the person who says, I'm not going to let things penetrate my peace.
Right.
So, you know, and I've done it too. Listen, I've walked away from friends. I've walked away from family members.
Yep.
There's, you know, actually blood family that I've let go out of my life because I'm like, I don't want to be around this negativity no more.
Yep.
And I don't, you know, because I need to be around people and things in my life. And if it means myself, then that's fine too. That's going to bring me peace because at the end of the day, look, some people want money, some people want love, some people want this, but everybody on earth wants happiness and peace. Everybody on earth, right? So you got to do everything you can to obtain that. And if that means walking away from people, if it means being by yourself at times, if it means, you know, you got to do that. And you have to realize, you know, do people bring me value in life? And that's a hard thing too, right? It's like who you surround yourself with. But who brings me value? And if you're not bringing me value, then you're not worth my time and peace. And I'm not saying value in the sense like, well, what could you do for me? But value in the sense is, do you help make my life better?
Making you a better you.
Right, making me a better you. Are you bringing genuine love and positivity and not backstabbing or you know, gossip and all that crap because they're fun to drink with.
Or using.
Right. You gotta separate yourself from all that and look and say, if people are not going to bring me value and help me be the best me and you be the best for other people, then you got to walk away from that. So it could be people, it could be social media, it could be places you go to, but you have to start eliminating it. So again, I'm going to repeat myself, but it all goes back to when you wake up in the morning, what are you doing with your day to make your day as good as possible, as happy as possible, growing and learning. So if something bad happens, you know, that's why you practice, right? You take a sports person.
Yeah.
They practice every day. Why? Because they prepare for the game.
Yeah.
Right? So the people that practice more, the people that are more prepared, are the ones that succeed. Well, use that same mentality for life. Practice, prepare. Do the things that are going to put you up high. So when something low comes, you're not dropping all the way to the floor. You might stumble a little bit, but you're armed to the teeth with tools on how to navigate through life. And that's up to you. That's your choice. Nobody else's. You have to rely on you. And I think if you just start there, you will find that it's going to be a lot easier. Things are not as hard as we make it out. And that's another thing, again, we talk about how you speak to yourself. We all have to stop saying, oh, life is hard, this is too hard. No, it's not. It's really not. You're making it harder by that mentality, by saying those words. Say, I can do this. I will do this.
Mm-hmm.
I will make life easier.
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee you, once you start doing that, because I'm telling you from living proof, things will become easier. But it has to start with you.
Well, you know what? I can't think of a better way to end the show, because that was, I mean, Anthony, I feel like this was a therapy session, for anyone, that is tuning in or going to listen to it. And I think that these are great things to discuss, because, and it's also, I love the male female, dynamic, because
Sure.
men think differently than women. Thankfully and unthankfully sometimes, but, and so it's always a good, perspective and way to look at things. And for anybody that's listening, like Anthony has spoken a lot about this, and obviously, like, we have both spoken about things that have happened in our lives that have affected us greatly. So it's not like, we're just sitting here going, yeah, well, life is hunky dory, and, like, all right, buckle up, let's go, just change the way you think. So there are examples, and hopefully we have given you guys a little bit of guidance as to how to be happy, or at least to try to get to that point and to make these, really subtle changes, if you will. But it all goes back to self-awareness, first and foremost, because if you don't recognize that you're the person that's bringing you down, then you obviously cannot bring yourself up. So I think that Anthony put everything into amazing words, and things and tools that we can use to move forward on this. So you have been awesome, Anthony.
Thank you, Taryn. If I can just leave with one
Please.
thing. For anyone who is listening out there, if you're feeling a certain type of way, there is nothing wrong, and it is not weak, to want to ask for help, to want to talk to someone. My door is always open to everyone. I don't want anyone to think that I have the answers to everything and I'm better, because I'm not. I'm no better or no worse. I've been through stuff like everybody else. So if anyone ever wants to talk, my door is open. But the point is that if you are feeling a certain way and you find that you can't do these things on your own, please don't feel shy or embarrassed to ask for help, especially with men. Because men are always programmed to think it's weakness to say you're vulnerable or not feeling well. And I'm going to tell you that's the opposite.
Yeah.
A real man will be vulnerable. You know what strength is and toughness is? To say, I need help right now.
Yep.
That's strength. That's tough. That is courage.
Yep.
So if anyone out there is feeling a certain way that might be listening to this, don't try to suppress it. Don't try to be the tough or cool person. If you need help, ask for it. And whether I'm not a doctor, but I will sit and talk with anyone that's going through anything, or reach to a family member. Don't think it's okay to not deal with it. So that's really, I just want to end it on that.
No, you're right.
It's okay.
Or seek professional help, because,
Yeah.
that's the whole thing, is that sometimes you just need, an ear. And sometimes, also sometimes people just need to talk so they can think. A lot of times it's not even what they're going to hear back in return. Sometimes it's just thinking out loud, if you will. And again, words, like you said, they're very powerful. So when they sit inside of you is where it manifests that anxiety. So if you actually speak it and get it out, and then you can sort through it, then there's healing that can go on with that. So yes, I mean, you should never, the strongest thing you can do is show, your, I don't want to use the word weakness, but
No,
vulnerability.
vulnerability. It's to show vulnerability. That's to show your true feelings. That's strength. That's
Yeah.
strength to me.
I agree. And I will, and that's a great thing to leave off with. And maybe our next show, I think our next show, we're going to lighten it up a little bit. And
Okay. Yeah, we could.
this was great, but it was heavy. But I think we'll go into the climate again. We'll pick up some of our male female perspectives and points of views, because that's always a fun show too. But thank you guys all for tuning in to Coffee Talk with Karen and Anthony. We will hopefully be back again in we were saying, Aunt, we're going to try to do this like every 2 weeks ish, right?
Yeah,
So we'll post it so that you know when it is. If you guys are in the Jersey area, you got to check out, Anthony. Not only is he a great co-host, but he's also a phenomenal DJ. So tell everybody where you are this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend, tonight, Friday night, I'll be at the Franklin Steakhouse in Fairfield. We do freestyle and 90s, like a throwback type of night. And then tomorrow night, I'll be at Uncorked in Totowa. Lovely little place, great crowd, great staff there. It's a really fun atmosphere. And we do a little bit of everything there, from the 80s, the 90s to today's stuff. So you get a splash of everything. So if you're in the area and you're not going down the shore and you feel like you want to get out, come out. And real quick, a real quick story, if you can. DJing, I figured I play music and I make people dance, right? It's pretty cool. I had one time a lady reach out to me on Facebook. I didn't even know we were Facebook friends. And she said to me, I'm going through the hardest time of my life right now. She had lost someone like you did, Karen. She had lost a spouse and her father was sick and she was going through some stuff. But she said what helped get her through was coming out 2 hours on a Friday night.
Yep.
To hear me play and dance.
Yep.
And I got to tell you, I actually cried because I didn't even realize playing music could do that to someone. And I felt
Music
wow,
therapy.
I'm actually doing something. So the
1,000%.
point that I'm telling the story is, hey, you know what? If you're feeling a certain way, you're not in the best, come out and dance.
1,000%.
Come say hi to me. Come have a drink with me if you want. But come out and dance because, God, just sometimes doing that could just take your mind off a lot of things. So
never underestimate the power of, especially when I was like younger, in my 20s and, like everything is going crazy then. I would go out and the louder the music was, if I could feel it in my soul, that to me is the best release there is, to be honest with you. So I'm sorry that you didn't realize the power that you have, because DJs are definitely music therapists, and
it's wonderful.
It releases endorphins, and especially if it's music that resonates with you. I was reading something with that, and it was saying how, music is on different frequencies, and certain frequencies agree with you because you make the association. So like, for instance, when I hear, like, I'm more of I like the techno, house, that kind of stuff. And like, when I hear that, my soul just like goes, and it puts you in a euphoric place, because it's guilt by association. When you hear that, it brings you to that place.
Yeah,
So,
you can't be in a bad mood and dance. It's like almost impossible, to be angry and dance.
You can if there's some asshole guy trying to grab you while you're on the dance floor.
Yeah, well,
that's different.
That's different. Yeah, and men are ridiculous. I see it every week. I feel bad for a lot of women sometimes who want to come out and just have a good time. I call them over to the booth, so there's times I had to step out and be like, buddy, leave them alone, but I do feel bad for you guys sometimes. Guys can get crazy, but
no doubt.
The point of it is that,
go have fun. Try to have fun.
Come out and dance. Come say hello to me.
Yeah.
You
Have
never
fun.
know. The little things sometimes could, make a difference.
Yeah, and everybody just throw a sweatshirt on and some sweatpants, for the winter Memorial Day weekend, and we will post our next show coming up soon. So have a happy Memorial Day weekend. Thank you guys for tuning in to Coffee Talk with Karen and Anthony. We were live on Podbean, and you can catch the replay on any of your favorite podcast platforms. Anthony, have a great weekend, and thank you so much for all of your
Thank
words
you,
of
Karen,
wisdom.
for having me. Yes, you have a great weekend. Everyone else out there, have an awesome, safe,